Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rev Up for Success Radio, our fast paced and exciting show. We're here to ignite you and ignite your success and ignite your life and to ignite your energy and your possibilities. We're here to ignite you. That's what we're all about here at Rev Up for Success Radio. And we are broadcasting through Raven International Broadcasting, which is the most positive radio show out there. So it goes all over the world to many, many countries and millions of people. So that's really exciting. And now we have our new live, what we call Rev Up for Success Live, which we're showing on YouTube. So you get to see everybody face to face, so to speak, which we're really having a lot of fun. We started this the first of the year. Our first guest was Michael E. Gerber of the E-Myth books. So that was a great kickoff to this platform of doing the show. Rasheed, that is here today with us, Rasheed Louis, he's been with me since the beginning of my radio shows. He was my very first interview, actually, and he's been on the whole journey with me for years. He had a lot to do for most of those years of doing the marketing and the promo pieces and editing but now he's outgrown me. He's moved on.
Oh, no.
Bigger things. So, but Rasheed, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And so I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit. This is part 2, by the way, of this interview. We did a part 1 earlier, and you'll catch that in this a couple of weeks ago. Now you'll be able to come back and get the rest of the story. I was like getting the rest of the story. So he's always been an entrepreneur. I think he was born to be an entrepreneur. Is that right, Rasheed?
I like to think so.
I think so too. And so was I. And we have similar beginning. We both lost our dads when we were young. Both of our dads were entrepreneurs and fed really quality teaching into us, which gave us a great boost to get through some tough times. And your tough times, your dad died when you were 9, and then your family it was kind of devastating. Financially, you had stepped back. Your mom took you and your brothers and sisters into your aunt's house. You lived like in one of her rooms, and it wasn't an easy life. And you were thrown into a new school and around a rough crowd that you didn't want to be part of, but it really enlightened you to maybe part of what your purpose and path has been, is to give back to younger people. And this whole thing around mentorship and the night of mentorship, and you created this night of mentorship, 5 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah. And which reaches out, I got to speak at the very first one, I can't believe that's been a long time, which reaches out to college students, young professionals, Chamber of Commerce, entrepreneurs, and CEOs to put on this night of mentorship. You do it once a year, and it's a fantastic event. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal, and it just keeps growing and growing. I can't imagine what's becoming. But you have had a shift in your own story. I mean, you're a marketing guy. You build beautiful websites. You do all kinds of branding. You've done TV shows. You have an extensive background. And then this past year, you got to step into a new venue, working with an African king. And I remember something, and then you took this trip to Africa. And I'm going to have you share on this. But I remember one of the things you shared was, I have a whole new understanding of mentorship. And that's been the path you've been on. I believe, and you probably do too, that this is your purpose, this mentorship whole thing wrapped around that, and what you're contributing back to your own community and to other communities for young college kids, young kids, maybe even younger. I mean, I'm sure you influence even younger. So I've put the big picture. You can fill in the gaps, but I want to share what happened. You were working in South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. And then you had the opportunity, or maybe it had to be, it was what it was going to be. You were going to Africa. And so tell us about this journey and how you feel about mentorship, and what was an awakening for you when you were in Africa?
I think one of the biggest takeaways were really just the statements and the people. There was this saying that I learned when I was there. It went like, where were you when we were we? Which basically means that until you experience what what it's like to be here, what until you experience what it's like to talk or to be at the place called there, then all that you know is theory. And even if you know it to the fullest detail of reading in the book or studying it, it's still just theory until you really experience it.
And what is that saying again? Where were you
Where were you when we were we?
when we were we?
And a lot of times there's this whole perception of what Africa is and what it's been and what it means to the world, and even in a position of lack of resources and different things like that. And I remember, and even in an article in that Huffington Post interviewed my mentor, the King. He said that Africa doesn't need handouts; it needs resources, and that's what I really got to see was that Africa they're self-sufficient. They, I mean, really, just being out in the marketplace, it was like a visual Amazon. Like you go on Amazon.com, it's like a visual Amazon. I mean, if you needed socks, water, toys, clothes,
Q-tips,
food, even
Q-tips,
Q-tips, belts, shoes. Like just driving down the street, you could roll down your window and you can get everything that you needed straight from the street. And there was little to none homeless people. Everybody was doing something. The day began literally for the whole city in the section where I was at, which was West Africa, Ghana, Accra. It started at 3 o'clock in the morning. People were already out on the street. People were already working. People already doing everything they need to do. And the day wouldn't end until midnight, even sometimes past midnight too. And so hard work is not something that people shy away from, but it's something that they use to get to where they want to be. Everybody on the street that was selling something or whatever, it was either to support a family or to pay school fees. School and education is so heavily valued there, as well as faith too. And one of the biggest takeaways that I really took away, and really, and like I don't really like to compare, but someone asked me like, what's the biggest difference that you saw between Africa and America? And a lot of times people would they'll answer that question with the color of individual skin, or Africa. They would want to say Africa's poor or whatever it may be. But the thing about Africa, what I learned was the biggest difference between there and here is that here people value opinions more than they do morals and values. But in Africa, they value morals and values higher, to the fact that even pastors and elders, they're respected as if they were the CEOs of companies or presidents of nations. And that to me was the biggest thing. You know, even the young children, even adults, when they see an elder, they would call them mommy or daddy. Everybody. It's just a respectful thing to say. And so for me, those were like the biggest takeaways. But also it's the way that the society there was set up. Here, when you waste a resource, you don't feel it immediately. It's down the line that you feel it. And resources, I mean, as in water, electricity, how you use your cell phone, how you use all these things that we take for granted. But there, everything is set up on a prepaid system in which there is a prepaid card for the electricity in your house, for the water, for your cell phone, all these different things. Nothing's based on a contract base, but it's based on your amount of use on it. And so when you walk into the households of these houses in Africa, by every light switch is a kill switch. And so when you leave the room, you don't just turn off the light, but you turn off the entire electricity in that one room and in the entire house, so that you can conserve electricity.
Wow.
And so like I said, like here you don't feel it immediately, but there, when you waste a resource, it's an immediate effect. And so those are really like the biggest takeaways, and really just seeing how people thrive out of the resources that they have to do more with it. And it was an amazing experience. And it changed the way that how I view a lot of things when I got back here too.
I had never thought, that's a brilliant idea. The light switch, turning off all the electricity in that room.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I wasn't even, I walk out, I turn off the lights, I feel like I'm resourceful there, but there is electricity
Exactly.
available to all other things, particularly to our computers and printers and all of our electronics, but even light lamps and stuff. So there is still electricity moving around in there. Wow, that's so brilliant. I don't know why we have never accessed that idea here in America.
Because we have an abundance.
Dude, that is it. So, so what has life been like now since time has passed and your business growth? And what did you learn from Africa?
What I learned, I guess, really the time has passed. I learned more about myself. I learned what true culture is. With the understanding that culture isn't just the food you eat or the dialect that you talk, but it's the understanding of honestly who you are. Like, are you cultured enough to be aware in your space and really to respect other cultures and other beliefs too, so that you're not culturally awkward. And we've all know people that are culturally awkward. When something new is introduced to their environment, they either reject it or they hate it because they don't understand it instead of taking the time to understand it. So for me, throughout the years, I've learned that it's not, if you really want your business to grow, it's about understanding who you are. That at that point, when you understand who you are, then you can understand what you can do and what you're capable of. I was talking to this professor in Africa, young professor, amazing professor, at this university, and we're talking about the aspect of company culture. Because throughout recently and even throughout the years, I've been building a team, and the team that I work with now, and we were talking about company culture and setting company culture, and we're talking about big corporations and small corporations. And when we got on the aspect of company culture or whatever, I said that the thing about what's going on right now in the state of entrepreneurship when it comes to company culture is that individuals are taking other companies, successful companies, they're taking their company culture and trying to apply it to them. But you can't do that. It's like trying to do like a blood transfusion, but the blood is not cohesive with each other. Exactly. And so them trying to take another company's company culture and apply it to themselves or whatever without the understanding of how they got it, that creates chaos. There's a saying that goes, if you don't set the company culture, then your employees will. And so if your employees set the company culture without understanding the vision of where they're going, then there will forever be chaos. And so one thing that we got onto when setting company culture is really the aspects of what makes a great leader. You know, for me, I said that it's patience, it's awareness, and it's really being able to listen. And he said that you forgot one. And I said, I forgot one. And he said, consistency. Consistency with excellence. And he said this statement to me. He said, in defining excellence, consistency is critical. And if you don't have consistency, because I feel like consistency is one of the habits and one of the skill sets that so many people overlook. But if you really think about it, consistency is the magic bullet. If you imagine a machine in which you could type in the number of days in which you want to sustain a new habit or a new skill set or a new knowledge in which you've just acquired, and you type in, I want to be consistent in the gym for 100 days. I want to eat clean, and you press that button and you get your results. I want to be able to learn and focus on this new language for 30 days. You type that in and you press that consistency button and you get your results. So why don't we do that anyways? If we know what the key to success is, but there's elements, and I call this the imaginary obstacles that trip us up, in which we all hate this. As far as we're going down the highway, we're going down the freeway, and all of a sudden traffic stops and it slows down. As we get closer to the center in which there's the problem, we start to see that there is no problem, but there's an accident that's over on the shoulder, but it's not in the actual pathway of where we're going. And so everybody's rubbernecking and they're looking at the distraction that's on the left hand side, but there's nothing actually in front of their focus view of where they're going. So we actually take another person's problems, or we take these external forces and we put them directly in front of us, and they become imaginary obstacles. And so many people do that, and that's what trips up consistency. And so for me, that consistency became the word for the year for me. That's really what I wanted to focus on this year, as far as certain aspects of my life in which I want to carry out consistency. And so in order, I guess, really to define a great leader is consistency and discipline.
And discipline. Well, and, it kind of goes along with my Get It Done coaching, because we have an action plan with action steps and then accountability to get it done. And people get so much more done when they have the plan, the action steps, and somebody that they're accountable to. It's that final piece that people don't have, which you might pattern into mentorship or roll into that. But it's that same thing that now helps you be consistent until you can form that habit yourself. And it is forming a habit or building a muscle to become consistent. But
exactly.
For me, it is the accountability partner, that person that holds my foot to the fire, that type of thing, so that I get it done. And that's why I like being the Get It Done coach, because I want to help people do that. And it helps me remember I need to do it too. That's one thing great about coaching. You learn along the path of helping somebody else. It empowers you too. So
exactly. And on that point, really on coaching, I believe that everybody should have a coach. I truly believe that. But there's also sections in which you don't need a coach, in which you need to free fall to get an understanding of where you're going. But for me, coaching is very important, because if you don't have a coach, somebody else that can hold you accountable, the very thing is that when it comes to your own accountability, people say, well, I can hold myself accountable. But when it comes to your own accountability, you'll make justifications on why something didn't get finished, or why you didn't call that person back, or if you didn't get something handled that you needed to get done. And so there will become variables of justification within it. And so a coach will be able to oversee what you're doing and say, okay, you need to stay consistent in this pathway. You need to be accountable.
You know what? One of the best accountability tools in real life that everybody has in their house somewhere is a scale. And if you're watching your weight, or you're just wanting to be healthy, or whatever it is, you get on that scale, it doesn't lie. It doesn't say, it's okay, you
exactly.
had a rough week, you had a lot of stress, you had a birth. It doesn't say any of that. It is what it is. And it just tells you what it is. Yeah.
Exactly, because people lie, numbers don't.
There you go. And scales don't either. So I've learned that the hard way. So okay, let's look here. Oh, what does it mean to be a young entrepreneur today?
What it means to be a young entrepreneur today is that you want to go so fast, but at the same time, you have to be careful not to miss steps. So many people nowadays want to become entrepreneurs. I mean, I said it earlier, like you have the celebrities, you have the sports players, you have young kids coming out of high school wanting to become entrepreneurs, with not understanding that this is a path that requires so much sacrifice, so much things that most people say you need to experience in life. But entrepreneurship is truly a roller coaster of emotions that if you don't have your emotions in check, everything is going to be a chaotic experience or a tragedy to you.
Uh-huh.
It's not something that you jump into, but it's something that you truly have to evaluate. I didn't truly know what an entrepreneur was until 2 years into my business, where it became really like a buzzword. And I started when I was 19. I was just doing work. But now you have rock star entrepreneurs, you have entrepreneurs really showcasing their lives and really showing this is what it takes in order to be successful. It's not about the shiny cars. It's not about the flashy girls. It's not about the money. It's about the work. And how are you going to serve people to get the work done? Because you can't be an entrepreneur and be an introvert. That's just what it is. You're going to have to get out there, hustle, shake hands, talk to people, and really share what you can do to serve the world. But so many people, they want the glory, but without the pain. I have a lot of students and a lot of young people that come to the office and talk to me about certain things. But what the commonality has become is that the reason why a lot of people want to become an entrepreneur is because they feel as it directly ties into purpose. You can serve your purpose and not be a leader. But I'm not saying that not everybody's a leader, but what I'm saying is that sometimes if you know yourself and you're aware enough to know yourself, you may be a part of the essential piece that helps a bigger cause get done. But the thing about everybody wanting to be a leader, people want to be the leader, but they don't want to be the leader. Because once you accept that you are a leader, then you accept the accountability for everything else that happens.
Well, and what you do as an entrepreneur, and you are head of a business, you're growing this business, building your whole team, but you've created something that serves others so that they can be successful. So, I mean, you're doing things for the Kyle Wilsons and some stuff for Brian Tracy, and you do stuff for me and all of that. And so you help all of us do what we need to do that we can't do for ourselves. So you kind of fill in that gap, but you're an entrepreneur in your own business, helping other entrepreneurs and business people. So it's a piece of the puzzle, but you're still an entrepreneur within that. And you talked about it's hard to be an introvert and be an entrepreneur, depending on the field you're in. Because interestingly enough, I know people in your field that do kind of some of the other pieces of it, like the website development and all that. They're great entrepreneurs, but they're very quiet and introspective. They're the student. They're researching all of that. And then you are more the branding and how to market externally that way. And that does take somebody that's extroverted. But really, you can't be too shy about tooting your own horn, whether you are an introvert or an extrovert. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to be willing to shout out your value and what you bring to the table. And in that regard, you can't be shy.
Exactly. And that's something that and as you know, I was the quiet one too. And I don't like to talk about things that I've done or the accomplishments that I've had. Until I started to learn that people naturally will devalue you if you're the quietest person in the room, because they don't understand what value you bring quite yet. But the minute that somebody whispers in their ear, hey, this person has built this company to $100 million, or this person has done this for this community, this person has done this to this community, then all of a sudden their value changes. And so at what point will you control the narrative of your own story? And that's really what I like to instill into my clients too, is like, you have to be able to control the narrative of your own story. People are always gonna talk about you. People are always gonna say certain things, whether it's to uplift you or to bring you down. But at what point are you gonna stand up and say, no, I'm the author of my story and this is the facts?
The author of my story. That's good.
Exactly, because it's only so fun to be the mysterious character for so long.
Mysterious character. That's funny. Okay, let's see. So, what's the focus now that you are finally back in the country, back into to this coast? I know you go East Coast, West Coast. You've got offices both sides now. That your business is growing. And before we go forward, there's one more thing I do want to tell our audience. When you were in Africa and you were with one of your employers, one of your contracts, and he is a king, an African king, how you said that there's chairs in every house or room that are specific or special for him. And I thought, what a sense of respect. And it's like, that's something that I don't remember experiencing here in our country. It may happen. I mean, if you go to the White House, obviously you're not going to sit in the Oval Office at the president's chair. But otherwise, the idea that there was these special chairs everywhere, and I just love that idea of respect that's there.
Yeah, and for me, it was definitely a symbol of respect, but at the same time, for me, it was a symbol of position and understanding too. And it goes back to what I said earlier about that. Can you be in a position of lesser than in order to be in a position of greater than? And I remember, I remember one time somebody had sat in one of his chairs, and he said if you sit in a king's chair or whatever, then get ready to have the responsibilities of a king. Because it's like, don't be so eager to and so ego driven to sit in a chair of power, but you not understand the weight that the crown holds. And so, think about it. It's funny. I was in my office, and I was having a meeting with a good friend of mine or whatever that's also a client, but also one of my team members. And I'm going through the branding process. Okay, I'm going through the branding process, the marketing process, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this would be so great to put on YouTube, and you should." And they were like, "When are you gonna speak? And when are you gonna do that?" And I said, the thing about me is that what I've learned over the years is that you don't drink your own Kool-Aid. And what I mean by that is that don't be so eager to take in all these compliments and all these things that what people and great things people are saying about you, because in that same second they'll turn around the moment that you fail them for a second, and they'll reverse it, and they'll turn it to something negative, especially if you're not ready to go through the storm of negativity and rejection.
But that doesn't always happen, Rasheed. Not always does it turn.
It doesn't always turn, but in the most cases it does, because not everybody is perfect.
Well, this is true. I know, but I don't want everybody to think, no. I'm waiting for the storm. You know?
Oh yeah. But to finish that statement is that the moment that you can, what I'm talking about is really a season of being humble, but still doing what you're doing and following in the path. The moment in which you can drink the Kool-Aid and lick the pitcher clean is when you feel as if that you have everything that you need to make you happy in life. I'm not saying everything. I'm talking about happiness and joy, in which you truly have a grasp of where you're going and where you've been. Then at that point, you can truly say, okay, thank you for everything that you're saying, and it is true, and I love it.
Well, so where's Epiphany going now? And I want to compliment you, and there is no storm coming, because you're so creative. You designed the cover of one of my books. You've designed stuff for the radio show for years. I mean, you are so, and then you designed the cover of my itty bitty book, The Simple Tips to Ignite Your Success. You're just so creative and so artistic. So I am very proud to be working with you, and I feel like you always, whatever you do for me is of a standard that I'm proud of. So that says a lot. You know how cranky I can be if it's not to a high standard. So anyway, for me or for anybody that I'm with. So anyway, but where is Epiphany going? This high caliber quality company.
So where Epiphany is going this year is really, Epiphany is going into the community. Epiphany is going to be throwing not only the event Night mentorship, but also a monthly event called Insights, in which I'm bringing in speakers with skill sets that are going to be able to talk not only about how to apply what they've learned throughout the years, but also they're going to go deeper than the skill that they've developed. And they're really going to showcase to these group of entrepreneurs that, okay, I know where you're at right now, but let me show you how I got to the next step. And so it's going to be a Q&A. It's going to be a Q&A kind of platform but also skills that they can literally walk out the door and apply tomorrow and make them money.
Nice. Ching ching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so right now it's still in development, but it's going to be launched next week. And hopefully by the end of the month, I'll be sending out the promos and everything else on this event.
Awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, let's let them know how to get a hold of you, and we'll put it on our screen too, but tell us.
Okay, so you can go to weareepiphany.com and you can check out some of the things that we worked on, some of the blog posts that we put out based on the industry, and also go and check out our events tab, and you can register for any upcoming events that we have going on.
Well, and Rasheed has really created a classy business, and what he puts out for other people is classy, sophisticated, smart. It just high caliber, and I'm very proud of you and proud to be part of that and have benefited from a lot of what you do, and I appreciate that. So everybody, this is part 2 of 2 awesome sessions we've got to spend with Rasheed Louis and hear his story, and he'll be back. But if you go back and hear the very first interview 3.5 years ago, you'll see just how far Rasheed has come in his journey quickly. He's still in his 20s. I mean, he's not very, it's got a long ways to go, and I just can't see I can't even imagine what all this is going to turn into. I mean, a king shows up this year, what's going to be in the future. So it's really exciting. So thank you for being here. Really.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, Claudia. Always a pleasure.
And everybody go check out ClaudiaCooley.com. Check out the coaching session on there. Check out my masterminds. I have more masterminds starting in May. Would love to have entrepreneurial businesses be part of that. It's exciting, and people really develop quickly in their programs and get things done. So anyway, thanks for being here, everybody, and have an awesome week. And remember, follow your vision and your path will show up. So see you next time. Bye-bye.